The corridor was shrouded in a thick layer of mist, forcing Agent Doom to advance slowly with her pistol drawn. Suddenly, something dark flashed across her vision.
Show yourself! I know you're here! Damn it! Shouldn't have split from Halo and Sensei.
An eerie laugh rang out and echoed through the corridor. Doom quickly turned around as she heard footsteps behind her, only to be met with a tall humanoid with black wings whose face was hidden in the mist.
Who are you?
You must be one of this age's hunters. I'd been wondering when the old man would bring some.
All you damn mystical types sure love to speak in riddles. Wait!
The entity disappeared into the mist as its laughter echoed once more.
You hear that, Sensei?
Sensei only smiled. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-7567. SCP-7567, also known as the place where a lone dreamer once ruled, is the designation given to 3 anomalies situated on Mount Fuppushi, Hokkaido, Japan. SCP-7561-1 refers to the forest surrounding SCP-7567-2, an 11th century style estate, which is believed to be the main base of the former group of interest, the yokai hunters. The forest has the ability to confuse a person's sense of direction, intentionally keeping anything away from the estate. Any attempts to locate 7567-2 without a proper guide or keystone results in the subject appearing at a random point on Mount Fuppushi. Within SCP-7567-2 resides the humanoid SCP-7567-3, an Asian male approximately 5.9 feet tall. It has a pair of black wings resembling those found on large-billed crows that grants it the ability to fly. SCP-7567 was brought to attention by SCP-6932 on March 17, 2030, after Foundation staff spoke of rumors surrounding an unknown anomaly attacking people on the Japanese island of Tsushima. The entity was identified as appearing human-like, with large feathered wings and a red-colored face complete with a nose measuring 12 inches, designated as D06. 6932 informed Agent Marcos Halo of an anomalous location that contained a great deal of information on the yokai hunters. They were likely to obtain intelligence helpful to the Foundation's effort against the entity there as well. While the group disbanded long ago, it was determined that the information was still valuable. Foundation agents Halo and Sarah Doom were dispatched to the area alongside 6932. 6932 took the pair into its pocket dimension before reappearing in the forest surrounding Mount Fuppushi. When asked why 6932 didn't take them directly to the anomaly, it only responded that it was incapable of doing so. It then led the agents deeper into the forest. After 3 hours of hiking, they arrived at a clearing that held a well-maintained estate, SCP-7567-2. They entered the courtyard, where weapons of all kinds were neatly arranged on racks in what looked like a training area. Agent Doom inspected one of the blades.
These are far too sharp to be that old. Either they're new, or someone's been taking care of them. We are not alone here.
Weird. Sensei, what do you know of this?
Nothing can come here without a guide. No matter, we are here on a mission. Come, we should move on.
The inside of the building was unusually clean and well-preserved. 6932 led them past a multitude of rooms, and into a large chamber filled with ancient scrolls and records of varying sizes. 6932 seated himself in front of the desk when a noise suddenly came from afar. It sounded like something had been knocked over.
I'm gonna go check it out. You two, start looking through the records.
Half an hour passed since. Halo was beginning to worry as Doom had not returned. Suddenly, he felt another presence in the room. Halo turned around and saw the winged entity standing in the doorway, its eyes fixed sharply on him.
Who are you? Whoa!
Without warning, the winged entity rushed forward with a palm strike. Halo Sensei's training kicked in just in time for him to block the strike. He then followed up with 2 shots from his pistol. The entity effortlessly evaded them.
What the hell?
Not bad. I see you've trained him well, old man. You haven't changed, Kuro. Good seeing you too.
So, you're the one Katsuyori was talking about?
And you fared better than your companion.
Her technique lacks refinement.
Doom? What have you done with her?
Oh, no worries. I just moved her away from here. She'll be fine. So, on to business. You were looking for information, and since you're here as well, old man, that can only mean one thing. What yokai are you having trouble with?
6932 slowly rose from his seat.
D06. Ring any bells?
Upon hearing it, the entity paled, then began rifling through the records.
The Tengu, yes.
It pulled 2 books from the shelves and handed them to Halo.
There is one more thing you'll need. Follow me.
The entity led them to a room that was different from the rest. It required a runestone in the entity's possession to open. The door opened with a heavy creak in response to the entity's runestone, revealing a room lined with weapons hanging on the walls. The entity led them to a wooden club. The rune on the club glowed when the entity brought its runestone closer. It then handed the club to Halo, who immediately felt its weight and a burst of immense energy coursing through him.
It can neutralize any magic that has been cast. If I'm right, that should solve your problem. If not, well, you can always use it to knock him out.
You have my thanks, Kuro.
The rest is up to you now. I can only wish you luck.
On March 23, 2030, half of the population of Tsushima Island and the majority of its infrastructure were terminated by D06. The deaths were covered up under the story of a deadly plague, and the island was quarantined. The next day, wielding the club, Captain Anders was dispatched to intercept D06.
All right, boys, give me some cover fire, buy me some time.
The team rained bullets on D06. The creature seemed unfazed, its attention solely focused on a nearby town. Anders knew he had to act fast. He charged forward with the club raised high above his head.
Eat this!
But before he could strike, D06 struck him down with a swift, powerful blow. The pain shot through Anders' body, his ribs cracking under the impact. Struggling to get back on his feet, Anders noticed his teammate, Bunnelby, approaching behind D06, combat knife drawn and ready to strike. However, D06 sensed his presence and swiftly knocked down Bunnelby as he lunged forward.
Foolish hunters! Think I don't see you? You lot never change!
Despite the immense pain pulsing through his body, Anders seized the opportunity and swung the club at D06 with all his might. The blow staggered the entity, and an odd purple haze began emanating from it.
Some came out of it. Could be the curse. Oh, keep hitting it, cat!
Gritting his teeth, Anders struck D06 again and again. Each blow weakened the creature further, and more purple haze escaped its body. Summoning all his strength for a final, decisive strike, Anders delivered a crushing blow that brought D06 to its knees. Then, its demeanor changed. D06's once fearsome presence now reduced to a quivering, weakened mess.
Where am I? Why am I here?
Anders took a step forward, holding the club at the ready.
You're here because you're a threat to humanity. We can't let you go free.
D06 recognized the club and started panicking.
No, not the club, please don't hurt me.
Anders hesitated, unsure of what to do.
Please, let me go. I'm sorry for what I did. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing.
Still, Anders stood silent.
Cap, we can end this right now. You just gonna let him get away?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You're free to go.
Thank you. You won't regret this, I promise.
D06 flew off, leaving Anders and his team standing in stunned silence.
What the hell, Cap? You let that yokai go?
The cycle must end here.
What are you talking about?
The records from Kuro reveal that these yokais have been fighting humans for centuries. Humans who have been hunting them.
You've seen the destruction that they can cause. They must be stopped.
That yokai was cursed. It wasn't acting of its own will. And what of Kuro? and Sensei. They've helped us, even when they're yokais themselves. Non-stop slaughters. Countless lives lost and meaningless battles, and for what? Katsuyori said that there's a chance for coexistence. And how many more deaths until that happens? The whole town was wiped out by one yokai, and another was about to be leveled if it weren't for us. How can we trust them after what they've done? I don't know, but we have to have faith in them. They're not so different from us. I think you're making a mistake, Captain.
Captain Anders fell silent, seemingly lost in thought. When he returned to the Foundation, Anders received a formal reprimand for allowing D-06's escape, but no other action was taken. When she wakes up, she finds herself in an unfamiliar building with her arms and legs bound. She is accompanied by a number of other female captives, some of whom still remain unconscious. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-5040. SCP-5040, also known as Tears of Blood, is a non-existent Japanese horror film which spontaneously manifests itself within human memories. Those affected by 5040 will remember going to see the film, even in instances where their attendance would contradict empirical evidence. Afflictions may occur in any venue where movies are shown, including cultures where its content would typically be otherwise prohibited. Subtitles and/or dubbing will be used when appropriate. Descriptions of the film are always similar in nature, as are the circumstances and events surrounding the viewing. However, reports of 5040's story and characters are never fully consistent, and the film's setting, subplots, character names, and much of the dialogue will be different for each viewer. Casting also varies and appears largely arbitrary. A broad variety of Japanese performers and entertainment personalities, both living and deceased, have been said to star in the film. Additionally, this occurs even when the actor in question has no real-life associations with the horror genre. After conducting more than 300 interviews, researchers have constructed a detailed synopsis of SCP-5040's most consistent story elements and the most common sequence of events associated with the viewer's memory of their screening attendance. The film always begins at sunset. If a subject had a prior engagement or a scheduled appointment for that day and time, they will recall that their plans were abruptly canceled or resolved through unforeseen circumstances. The subject will then decide to spend their free time watching a movie at a local theater. Upon arrival, they will see a large crowd gathered at the box office and learn that the entire theater had been reserved for a special event, a one-time only screening of a rare, critically acclaimed film. Admission is free. Drawn in by the excitement, the subject will indulge their curiosity and get in line for a ticket. Most seats are already occupied when the subject reaches the auditorium, but they find an empty space in the back. They notice that a large number of people throughout the audience wear disposable face masks, even if this practice is not common within the local culture. The woman who takes a seat next to the subject wears one such mask, as does the woman beside her. The remaining seats are quickly taken, but patrons continue to file in. By the time the lights dim, the audience fill out the stairs and aisles completely, leaving the areas around the exits as standing room only. An IV pole carrying a bag of unknown fluid may be seen protruding from the crowd, but with no clear indication as to who it is connected to. The subject might also notice that elsewhere in the theater, one of the masked audience members wears a hospital gown. There are no trailers or advertisements before the film. The theater goes silent when the film begins. The film opens with the female protagonist going about mundane activities in her day-to-day life. She is interrupted by a phone call from an unknown party who tells her that her loved one had been hospitalized. When the protagonist leaves her apartment to go to the hospital, she is attacked by a male assailant and loses consciousness. When the protagonist wakes up, she finds herself in an unfamiliar building with her arms and legs bound. She is accompanied by a number of other female captives, some of whom still remain unconscious. The women briefly discuss the possibility of an escape, but are interrupted when the kidnapper appears. He notices one of the women crying and kills her without hesitation. The kidnapper explains that he intends to release the captives after 24 hours, but only under the condition that they do not cry. Throughout the film, the kidnapper exacts various forms of physical and psychological torture on the group. Despite their best efforts, the captives prove unable to hold back their tears, and they are murdered one by one until only the protagonist remains. Frustrated by the protagonist's resolve, the kidnapper gradually escalates her torture. However, the protagonist only responds with rebukes, which angers the kidnapper even further. As the protagonist makes a speech against the kidnapper, the subject notices what seems to be a slight echo to the dialogue. They eventually realize that the two masked women sitting beside them are softly repeating every line of dialogue as it is spoken in real time. If they look further, they will see that the lower half of the women's masks are saturated with saliva, and their hands are clasped together so tightly that their fingernails have begun to draw blood. At the film's climax, the kidnapper approaches the protagonist with a double-edged razor blade and announces that even if she is freed, she will spend the rest of her life horribly disfigured. This leads to an argument between the two, which touches on themes such as the nature of inner and outer beauty, the value of women in society, and the societal stigma against expressions of vulnerability. Eventually, the kidnapper loses patience, throws the protagonist to the floor, and grabs her face. From this point onward, the subject hears groans from unidentified members of the audience. Gripping the protagonist's lower lip between his thumb and forefinger, the kidnapper takes the razor blade and cuts a deep fissure from the corner of her mouth to her chin. He works the blade across her face, using a rough sawing motion until her lower lip is partially amputated. He pauses to mock the protagonist, and she uses the opportunity to grab the razor from him with her teeth. Before the kidnapper can react, she slices his left eye open. The kidnapper screams as blood and vitreous humor spill from his face, allowing time for the protagonist to maneuver the razor to her fingers and cut through her bindings. Enraged and half-blind, the kidnapper grabs the remaining flap of the protagonist's lower lip and pulls sharply. The kidnapper tears it from her face, along with a large strip of her right cheek. As the kidnapper expresses his satisfaction, the protagonist finishes freeing herself and slits the kidnapper's throat with the razor. Whereas the film's previous murders often differ between manifestations, all interviewees gave consistent descriptions of the violent climax and displayed a greater degree of clarity in their recollection of the scene than at any other point in the film. 80% of subjects also reported that the movie's climax was accompanied by a profound sense of dread, but did not attribute the feeling to the movie itself. The protagonist hurries to the exit as the kidnapper bleeds to death on the floor. Although her speech is impeded by her injuries, she pauses before leaving to mock the kidnapper one last time. The protagonist calmly tells the kidnapper, "You cried tears of blood, and therefore you had to die according to your own rules." The film abruptly cuts to an unspecified point in the future. Now wearing a face mask to hide her disfigured mouth, the protagonist walks down the street to her apartment, indifferent to the crowd of paparazzi that follows her. When she finally reaches her bedroom, the protagonist slowly takes off her mask and looks at herself in the mirror. She stares in silence at the missing lower portion of her face and sheds a tear. Over the course of several minutes, her weeping gradually builds into frenzied sobs and shrieks. The film cuts to black and the credits roll, but the sound of the protagonist's cries continue to play with no other audio until the credit reel ends. The other audience members largely remain silent after the movie ends, exchanging only whispers as they exit the theater. Subjects have claimed to have seen small red puddles and stains on the theater floor on their way out. Those who remain past this point will experience an escalating feeling of unwelcomeness until they are driven to leave. Agent Halo blocked the incoming strike from the old man, his temporary sensei. He parried it and countered with a palm strike of his own to no avail, as Sensei easily sidestepped and tripped Halo over.
Not bad. I see improvement. Always the damn leg sweep! You're too eager, too reckless. Now, again.
Halo got up and adjusted his stance.
Say, won't you come with me and train the guys? We could use your expertise in a certain extermination. What do you mean? Have you heard of 049?
Upon hearing the name, Sensei froze. A grief-stricken expression washed over his face.
Do you have any idea what sort of monster you're dealing with there? We have some idea, and we can share more with you if you come with me.
Sensei slowly paced back to the doors. From his back, Halo could tell that it was not an easy decision to make for the old man.
Very well. I will join you in this extermination. I have an idea where it'll go next, and I'll need a few able men with strong minds, for I will be teaching them the ancient ritual to seal the monster. Come.
Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object SCP-6932. SCP-6932, also known as Sensei, appears as an Asian man around 50 to 60 years of age, though supplemental material suggests that it is much older than it looks. Despite its apparent age, witnesses have reported it to be in exceptional physical condition due to its frequent use of martial arts. 6932 claims to possess knowledge of over 100 different styles of martial arts. In addition, 6932 has the ability to summon a pocket dimension in which time functions differently. One may stay in the dimension for 24 hours to even 6 months before exiting, only to find that no more than an hour has passed in our reality. It has been reported that living subjects cease aging while remaining in the dimension as well. However, this effect expires once a subject leaves the pocket dimension. It is currently uncertain if 6932 is capable of controlling the temporal effect of the pocket dimension consciously, or if the entity even has any control at all. 6932 was discovered on July 23, 2025, by Agent Marcos Halo during his investigation of the appearance of a then unknown anomalous presence near an orphanage in a rundown suburb in Ohio. He had been watching the street camera feed for hours. Then, like a bolt out of the blue, he saw them, 3 kids suddenly appearing out of thin air. Halo tailed the kids back to the orphanage. They didn't look like much, but something about them was off. During his interview, they were squirmy and tight-lipped, giving him squat to work with. But Halo knew there was something fishy going on. When he returned to the spot where he first laid eyes on the kids, he spotted an old man sitting on a bench, flipping through a worn journal.
Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help but notice you reading that journal. Do you mind if I ask what it's about?
Halo said, trying to sound as calm as possible. The old man smiled and said,
Just some scribbling I did back in the day. Nothing special. Well, that's, interesting. Anyway, have you noticed anything unusual around here lately? Maybe some strange activity?
The old man's expression changed from a friendly expression to a grave one.
What do you mean?
Halo hesitated for a moment. He wasn't sure how much he should reveal.
I've been hearing some rumors about some unexplained presence in this area. I'm checking it out. Well, I don't know nothing about any of that, but I do know a thing or two about defending myself. And you look like you could use a lesson or two. You know you sound mighty suspicious when you start making offers like that, right?
The old man's gaze remained fixed on Halo, unwavering. Halo knew that he needed to go along with it if he wanted to get any kind of information.
Fine, I'll bite. I reckon I could learn a thing or two. Lead the way.
The man stood up and gestured for Halo to follow him. Cautiously and discreetly, Halo turned on his voice recorder just in case anything unfortunate happens to him. Halo followed the man through a portal into a pocket dimension, of which he manifested out of thin air. Inside was a building that resembled a traditional Japanese dojo. There, he was trained in the style of the old man's own martial art. After leaving the dojo, Halo checked his phone. He'd intended to check in and report back to the Foundation, only to find that a mere 18 minutes had passed.
I could have sworn I was in there for hours.
On August 30th, 2025, an unknown entity broke out of a sealed cave in Hokkaido. Civilian witnesses reported a horned humanoid around 3 meters in height with notably sharp teeth and claws entering the town of Kamashihiro. The entity was noted to have been looking around for something as it rampaged through the area with an oddly hungry expression. The town's demise was covered up as an unfortunate natural disaster caused by the eruption of a nearby lava dome that went active. After the loss of 3 more towns, Foundation agents located some old documents regarding the entity. The documents were sent in for translation. It was determined that the writings were in an ancient Japanese dialect that had died out around 1200 CE. It was learned that the creature in question, 049, was first encountered by the former group of interest, the yokai hunters. The page detailed a man referred only to as Sensei, who was able to seal the creature away. Unfortunately, the method was not recorded. The journal in possession of 6932 was then retrieved for translation as well. It was written by a child named Katsuyori. The writer in 6932 had close ties to the yokai hunters. While the group was thought to have disbanded around 1100 CE, the Foundation cannot be certain as they have very little information on them.
Papa started teaching me to fight. The other students are weird, though. They talk about yokai with those happy faces. Why? Yokai and their magics are scary. Have they not met a yokai? I think someone called Papa a yokai. That's impossible. Papa's nice. Not at all like the mean yokai. They believe he has dark magic or something. At least, I think. I overheard someone say that Papa doesn't age. That can't be true. No more than their other lies. Like when they say Papa controls magic to another world. All lies. Only yokai can use magic. Papa's not a yokai. Papa got some visitors today. I watched them come in. A man with black bird wings asked me to get Papa. I froze, shaking. It was in front of me. I was grabbed then. Papa held me for a few minutes while I calmed down. I felt safe. Nothing could happen with Papa around. I looked over at the group while Papa spoke to them. He called the Birdman Kuro, and their group the Damned Council. Whatever that means. He didn't seem to be happy. They recruited me. I felt ready, more than ever. And I went on missions assigned to me by Kuro. Scouting, investigating, fighting. Got hurt a few times. Made Father worried. Kuro assigned me a special mission to study an Oni the hunters labeled 049. He said it would be dangerous, but I was the best fit for the mission, given my abilities. I'm sure I can do it. I've had dangerous assignments before, but something about this puts me on edge. When I got home, Father yelled at me when he found out. I was startled. He made his feelings on this clear. Father was against it, stating that I was going to die. He seemed like he knew about what I was assigned to study, but he wouldn't tell me. I get his hesitance, especially after the last time. But what Kuro wants to achieve, the future he's trying to head towards, isn't that worth a bit of danger? Protect humanity while protecting the yokai, even if the worst threat to humanity was the yokai. It seems a bit idealistic, sure, but it could be possible. Not that Father thinks so. Still, I'll do what I think is right. Think for yourself. Isn't that what Father taught us?
The final page in the journal is a spare sheet written in a different hand. It is assumed to belong to 6932.
Oh, my child. What has happened? I tried to warn you, but perhaps I was not persuasive enough. I tried to stop you, but you always had a mind of your own. If only I was able, I would have prevented this from happening. It is my failure that you have fallen. I was not enough to protect you, and for that, I shall never be able to atone. Your death was my fault. If only someday you could forgive me. Goodbye, Katsuyori.
On September 7, 2025, 6932 opened its pocket dimension at Cape Irimo. There, 6932 and the MTF were able to locate 049. 6932 grew furious at the sight of the creature. The team quickly split in half, with one group assigned to keep 049 occupied and protect the remaining agents, while the other group performed the sealing ritual. As the ritual began, 049 let out a blood-curdling scream and lunged at 6932. Despite being knocked away from the area, 6932 stood firm.
Sensei!
As Halo rushed forward with guns drawn, 6932 stopped him.
Resume! Do not stop the ritual! What are you doing? You're hurt! No, I will handle this. It's been a long time coming. But,
6932 knocked Halo unconscious and gently laid him down on the ground.
Sorry, young one, but it is my duty to see through the end of this. It's personal.
With a fiery determination burning within its soul, 6932 stormed towards 049. Its fists were clenched so tight that its knuckles turned white.
Now, let's dance. Watch over me, Katsuyori.
6932 and 049 engaged in a fierce battle, with each blow landing with a bone-crunching impact. Despite being overpowered by 049 in the initial stages of the fight, 6932 refused to back down. However, the ritual was working, slowly weakening 049 to the point where it could be terminated. 6932 delivered the final blow, sending 049 crashing to the ground. However, the victory came at a price. As the team regrouped around 6932, it was clear that the fight had taken a heavy toll on it. Its body was battered and bruised, its breathing labored. 6932 weakly uttered Katsuyori's name. Then, it vanished.